Saxon Algebra 1, Lesson 109. Our topic today is Advanced Trinomial Factoring. We have been working toward this lesson for a week or two now. We've been slowly building up. And I want to tell you right now, I teach this lesson differently than John does in the book. His approach, no. He uses lots of guessing, and we don't need to guess in math. That's no fun. Okay, what we are doing is we're looking at our old friend, the trinomial, the standard form of which looks like this, right? We call this standard form because, of course, we could rearrange these any way we wanted. But when we have them in order like this with the x squared and the x, and then the plain number on one side and then 0 on the other, that's called standard form. Now, we have been factoring the standard form of a trinomial, and we do that, we factor by inspection, right? That's what we've called it. And that means we look at it. And there's two things that we need to do when we factor by inspection. The first thing is we need to find two numbers that multiply to C. Whatever number is right here, right? Our two numbers have to multiply to that, but they also have to add to B, right? They have to add to this. Now, this works only, well, up until now, it's worked only this process, as we have learned it now, only works when A is equal to 1. And of course, we don't write the 1 there, but it's a plain x squared, right? I'm sure you've noticed that by now. Maybe I've even pointed it out, that in all the examples we used, there was no number in front of the x squared. A was equal to 1. But what about if A is equal to any other number? So we're still going to be factoring by inspection, which is to say we're going to be looking at it when A is a number other than 1. Okay, so our previous process works when A is equal to 1 and there's no number out here. But now we're going to practice doing it where there is a number there. A is a number other than 1. Okay, so we still have these steps, but we're going to add 1 before it. So I'm going to call that the new step 1. And what we do is we multiply A times C. We multiply these two together. Then we find two numbers that multiply. I'm looking at my old rule as I write my new rule. They multiply to A times C, which we just found in the previous step. So instead of the two numbers just multiplying to this one, they multiply to those two together. Ooh, that's different. And then our third step is the same. They also add to B, which is exactly the same as last time. So we do this pre-step of multiplying these two together. Then the two numbers that we find have to equal that same product. You'll see what it looks like when I get an example going here. And I think we're ready for that. Example 109.1. Factor. Well, John is feeling sassy this morning. He didn't put the equal 0 on there, but that doesn't really change very much, so we don't mind if he left that out. Now, what I notice about this is that he wrote it out of order. So let's get it back the way it should be in the proper descending order. And now we can see that, remember, this is our ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Just so we can remember the names of things. So the first thing we do is we multiply a times c. And in our case, that is 2 times minus 15. So the number that we're looking for is minus 30. Then we find two numbers that multiply to a times c, all right? And let's write out some pairs. You don't normally have to do this. Well, we see 2 and minus 15, or minus 2 and positive 15. There's also 3 and minus 10, or minus 3 and positive 10, right? Or we could do 6 and 5. That time I reversed the order. What else multiplies to 10? Not 4, 5, 6, not 7, not 8, not 9. We got 10. Okay, that looks like all of them. So which are the two? And also add to b. b is minus 7. So that quickly takes me right here. Positive 3, negative 10. They multiply to a times c, and they add to this. So now that we've got our two numbers, I'm going to extend our list. We're going to rewrite our original expression. I'm going to copy it down here so that you can see exactly what I'm doing with it. 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. What we're going to do is split this into two terms using the numbers that we chose. So I know that positive 3 and negative 10 equals negative 7, so I can rewrite this as plus 3x minus 10x. Okay? If we squish these two together, we get the same number back, don't we? So we haven't changed our expression here. We're just rewriting it with four terms. Notice the first term stays exactly the same. Same. These guys don't change. We've just expanded this middle term from 1 to 2. Now we can factor by grouping, which we learned how to do. So to factor by grouping, we consider the first two together and the second two together. What can we pull out of this? Just an x, and we get 2x plus 3. And then from this we can take, let's see, we want to take a negative 5, and that will give us 2x. And then this will become positive because we factored out the minus 5. So this becomes positive 15, and we are taking out a 5, so that would be positive 3 is left. And remember, you can always check your factoring by distributing. Minus 5 times this, that would be minus 10x, check, and this would be minus 15, check. Okay, great, and we're almost done now, aren't we? We just have an art project. So let me write for step 5, factor by grouping, which we've been practicing. And so I have quantity x minus 5 times quantity 2x plus 3. That's how you say parentheses in math speak. You say quantity. We call this a quantity and this is quantity. So I say quantity x minus 5 times quantity 2x plus 3. And guess what? That is the right answer. One of the most common questions that students ask in this process is, how do I know which order to write them in? Should I write the plus 3 first? Or, should I write the minus 10 first? Spoilers, it doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer in the end. And let me just show you how that works. And then we'll go on and we have 2 more examples after this. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to take, let's go back to this place, 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. We know that we multiply these 2 together, we get negative 30. We chose our 2 numbers. They're 3 and minus 10. But this time, instead of writing plus 3 and minus 10, I'm going to change the order. I'm going to put minus 10x plus 3x. It still works, that, and I like to draw the arrows because it helps me remember what I'm doing. Minus 10 plus 3 is minus 7. So we still get the same number back. So everything's fine. We just wrote them in the opposite order. Now let's go ahead and bring these down. These stay the same. 2x squared and then minus 15. That's the same. So then we're going to factor by grouping like so. What can we pull out of these 2? 2x, and that leaves us with x minus 5. And then what can we pull out of these? Plus 3. And we have x minus 5. So our final answer is 2x plus 3 quantity times x minus 5 quantity. Okay, that's the same answer, but let me show you something interesting. When we factored it this way, we got the x minus 5 twice, and we had to piece together the 2x plus 3, right? Keep that in your brain. When we did it this way, we got the 2x plus 3, and we had to piece together the x minus 5. So your answer will come together in a slightly different way, depending on which order you list these in, but you will get the same answer in the end. So the good news is it doesn't matter what order you write these 2 terms in when you split the middle term into 2 terms, do it either way. If you can see one factoring pattern, like if it jumps into your eye and you go, oh, I know I'm going to be able to pull the 5s, for example, write it how you think it will be easier to work it. All right, but it does not affect your answer. Okay, 2 more problems. John has a habit of writing these in the wrong order. 3x squared, this time he did it the right way though, right? He put the x squared, then the plain x, then the plain number. When you're doing your homework, you do not have to write it the wrong way. If you can see, as you glance at your book, if you can see, oh look, he scrambled the order, just go ahead and fix it as you write it down the first time. I usually write it down the wrong way just to talk about it and remind you of that, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to put yourself through that. Okay, so the first thing we do is we multiply a times c. 3 times negative 2 is minus 6. So we're looking for numbers. And what I like to do sometimes is write down what b is. b is minus 1. Okay, so we're looking for numbers that multiply to minus 6 and add to minus 1. So our factors, we're going to have one positive and one negative, and they're going to have a difference of 1. So that tells me, let's see, they're going to be negative 3 and positive 2. All right? Sometimes the factors that we multiplied together will be the same factors that we decide to use, but they don't need to be. That's just a coincidence that we multiplied 3 and minus 2, and then we chose minus 3 and 2. It just worked out in this problem, but it does not have to be that way. Okay, so now we're going to split this guy. I like to put those arrows there. It reminds me of what I'm doing. I'm just going to write them in this order. That's how my brain thought of them first. I always stop here and check. This is minus 1, minus 3, and plus 2. They do indeed add to minus 1. So I just check and make sure. This is 3x squared. This is minus 2. And I can see, oh look, the way I wrote it down gives me some really nice factoring patterns. I'll pull the 3x out of this, and I get x minus 1. And then I'll pull the 2 out of this, and I'll get, look, x minus 1. These two should always be the same. There are no problems where they do not, there are no problems that John will give you where you will not get these matching. So if you don't get a match here, then you must have made some mistake somewhere along the line. So retrace your steps. Our final answer is quantity 3x plus 2 times quantity x minus 1. I usually gather up the pieces and make that in the first binomial, and then I copy this for the second, but it doesn't have to be that way. When we multiply, order doesn't matter. So these could be written, I could write the x minus 1 quantity first, and then 3x plus 2 second, but my normal process is gather up the pieces first, and then rewrite the one that's obvious. That's the right answer. This is also the right answer. If you ever find a mistake in my work, if I ever overlook something or write something different than what my mouth is saying, please message me and I will put corrections in the description. So when you're starting a new video, you can just glance at the description and see if there's any information there about a mistake I might have made. Not going to record the whole thing over, but I don't want to leave bad information. Last one. 109.3. John is also nice to us this time, and he gives us the proper order. 5x squared minus 13x minus 6. Okay? Oh, that was nice of him. So the first thing we do is we multiply a times c. That is minus 30. Maybe the pair of numbers we need will be 5 and 6, but maybe they won't. Doesn't matter. We don't know. B is minus 13. Okay. Now, part of my brain goes, ooh, what if it's 10 and 3? Because that adds to 13 and it multiplies to that. But when I consider the minuses, I know that's not going to work. Because if it's minus 30, that means one of the numbers is negative and one of the numbers is positive. And mine, if I was going to add to minus 13, they would have to both be negative. So 10 and 3 are not the right answer, even though they're close. I have another idea, though. I think it's minus 15 and 2, because 15 and 2 have a difference of 13. That was my hint. And that does indeed work, doesn't it? They multiply to minus 30, and they add to minus 13. So be sure to think through carefully, not just the numbers themselves, but the pluses and minuses, because there are other cases like this one where you can get the numbers to work, but not the signs, and you have to keep thinking to find the right combination. Okay, we're going to split this doggy into minus 15x plus 2x. I did not look at these at all. I just copied these down in the order I thought of them here. 5x squared minus 6. These are exactly the same. All right, now we're going to factor by grouping. I'm going to pull 5x out of that and have x minus 3. And then here I'll pull a 2, positive 2, and I'll have x minus 3. Yay, it worked out. So I gather up the pieces for the first quantity, 5x plus 2, and then I copy this just once. And that's the right answer. Yay! Factoring by grouping. I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is a concept, a skill that John does not do a good job of reminding you about over the lessons. And many students forget that this is a thing. So as you're doing these problems, put it in your head that this is a thing you want to remember and that it will come up again in Algebra 2. And you want to remember how cool it works. Okay, that's the end of lesson 109. Congratulations. Oh, let's see. Beginning of week 29. There it is. We're almost there. Goodbye.